Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan. For this assignment, I wanted to look further into the finances of creating a startup, and I wanted to see exactly what it was that people have trouble with initially when they first start a business that could be avoided if they were more educated on the subject to begin with. And I wanted to learn about this because me personally, as a college student, I'm hopeful to create a startup one day, and I don't necessarily have the financial backing right now to be able to do a lot of things, and I would like to know if there's any shortcuts that might be able to avoid unnecessary spending, as well as proper ways to have people invest in your business. So for this assignment, I found four primary concerns that people have for startups in terms of their finances. The big one being the fact that people are a bit more hesitant to invest in a startup company rather than someone who is more experienced and created a business or two. And so investors are a bit more hesitant, which can create a little bit of problem, and that can cause people to borrow money from places that they otherwise wouldn't borrow money from. This can cause unnecessary risks that shouldn't have to be taken. And next, we have that people are overly concerned with the amount of people their business reaches, rather than being more concerned about nailing their target market and sticking to their mission statement uh, to be able to create repeat customers. Um, and when the time does come, when you have a successful business, people have a bit of trouble knowing when to call it quits and being able to sell their company. When looking at the financial troubles people have when creating a startup, I found an article about the reasons investors are hesitant to invest in startups. They listed the top 25 reasons that they stay away, which include lack of trust and lack of experience. Other things include not being believing that the product will be successful or the CEO is a little bit hard to deal with. But one of the main reasons is the startup might cost too much to begin with. The article I was reading was from entrepreneur.com, and the writer was someone who created a startup himself. And he was having trouble finding people to invest in his business. He found that people could be very discouraging to have so many people pass up on you, but it's part of the process, and everyone has to go through it before becoming a successful business person. However, the lack of investment from investors can cause you to panic and start borrowing money from places that you otherwise would not find yourself borrowing money from. For example, family and friends. It's always a good feeling to know that your loved ones support you, and he says that sometimes is a good motivational tool that will allow you to become more successful as you would not want to disappoint your family, but at the same time, if your business does turn out to not be successful, that could create some tensions and problems that in that particular relationship if you're unable to pay them back, which could cause emotional stress and discourage you from any of your further ventures. Another primary issue that first time business owners have is paying too much money to obtain new customers. This article discusses ways to tell if you have a good customer acquisition cost, but at the same time, it discusses a misconception that a lot of startup owners have. This misconception is that you should try to branch out and try to do whatever you can to have as many customers as possible, when in fact, they believe that you should be following your beginning mission statement to obtain as many customers as possible within your target market. Otherwise, this creates financial difficulty due to paying too much attention to trying to obtain customers that aren't part of your target market, which will actually decrease the amount of returning customers that you have. And you also might invest too much mentally and emotionally in obtaining these customers. And finally, we have once business owners of a startup actually have a successful business, they never know when to call it quits. Another article by entrepreneur.com discusses the attachment that business owners have to their business, and it makes them not think as clearly when they should exit. This article discusses what people think about when businesses are sold. They think about big type of companies like Instagram or YouTube that are worth billions and billions of dollars. However, we know very well that that's not the case for all businesses. Sometimes owners think that their business is worth a lot more than it is, and that blinds them when they should actually have a good deal and be bought out. Another aspect of it is more of when one or more parties is interested in obtaining your company. This sometimes causes owners to create a bidding war to try to get as much money as possible. However, If it goes on for too long, that can make the interested parties no longer interested. And another thing is that their emotional attachment to the company doesn't allow them to think as clearly and won't make them want to sell.